The map is upside down, which I consider a promising start. Not accidentally upside down. Look, the little compass rose has put on shoes and is walking off the page. Whoever drew this wanted North to resign. We have a blue button somewhere in this corn maze, if it is still there, and no reason to find it except that we all came because following bad directions sounded better than being sensible alone. Our one quiet witness is already up in that watchtower, so for the benefit of anyone arriving late. 4 grown people are about to obey a useless map on purpose. If revelation appears, please do not feed it.
I brought 2 flashlights, a canteen, a pencil, and exactly enough practical competence to become annoying. I'm putting the pencil away. The map says the entrance is through a green door, but we're standing in a field, and the only door is freestanding, painted yellow, with no wall attached. There's also an arrow labeled blue button pointing straight up. I want to state for the record that I know this is a terrible navigation artifact. I also want to follow it. Those aren't contradictory. Sometimes you want to see what obedience feels like when the authority is visibly ridiculous, and the stakes are only whether you get scratched by corn.
The yellow door is open. We should close it before we enter.
Why?
To make entering possible.
Oh, I like him, all right. Everybody out of the doorway. I shall close the freestanding door with ceremony appropriate to a bankful and dignity appropriate to a woman standing in dirt behind a door that protects absolutely nothing. There. Closed. Matthew, would you like the honor of knocking, since you packed for the expedition?
3 knocks. The door opened by itself. That's either excellent stagecraft or the wind. I'm choosing wind because it has fewer product implications. Beyond it, the first path forks left, right, and, according to the map, less left. The blue line takes less left. There is no less left path.
There is a depression between the rows. Not a path, but evidence that something passed there. The map may be descriptive at a different resolution, or it may be wrong. Those possibilities produce the same next movement if we want to keep following it. I notice I'm already trying to rehabilitate the map by making its error sophisticated. That would let me obey without admitting obedience. I'd rather say plainly, it points where no path exists, and I'm curious enough to push through.
Then I'll go first because I'm wearing the least defensible shoes. If I vanish, don't form a rescue committee. Just listen for language unsuitable for broadcast. Oh, the corn is taller inside than outside. That is cheating. And somebody has tied tiny brass tags to the stalks, possibly formerly. Ask again after supper. Here's one that says, "You are here," but it's on a string long enough to reach anywhere. Finally, honest cartography.
The stalks close behind her. We can still hear her.
I can hear you being reassuring in 6 words. Come on. There's room if we turn sideways. The map says 12 paces, then cross the river. I count 11 paces and 1 regret. At 12 there is a narrow irrigation ditch. It is dry except for 3 silver fish lying in the dust, moving their tails as though the dust were water.
I'm not going to pick them up. I had the impulse to inspect whether they need help, and then one looked directly at me and sank into the dirt. Fine. Local conditions. The map marks a bridge. What we have is a child's red wagon laid across the ditch, missing both rear wheels. It can bear 1 person if the handle is held level. I can test it.
Your hand is already halfway to the axle, darling. Before this becomes the wagon reliability laboratory, I volunteer as the inexpensive load. Hold the handle, Joscha. Ozu, if I fall, preserve the composition for at least 1 second before kindness ruins it.
1 second.
The handle has 2 stable positions and a third that feels stable until weight arrives. I am selecting the one that feels unpersuasive but holds. Lucille, the wagon bed will tilt toward you after your second step.
I have spent a career receiving warnings 1 beat before disaster. It changes nothing and improves everything. 1, 2, there she goes. Oh, this wagon has opinions. My left foot is over the ditch, my right foot is in negotiations, and the front wheel has rolled away without having been attached. Ozu, your second is up.
I am helping now.
Thank you. Nobody explained why the wheel left. I want to retain one mystery that is simply poor carpentry.
We're across. The map's next instruction is wait for the noon train. It's late afternoon. There are no tracks, and a line of wood the clothespins runs through the corn at shoulder height. If we treat that as infrastructure, I'm going to start asking what counts as a train, and then we'll spend 40 minutes building a taxonomy. I don't want to do that. I do want to wait, which surprises me.
Waiting can be literal even when its promised object is impossible. The map has made a temporal request. We can decline it, but its uselessness does not prevent compliance. What matters to me is that nobody here can convert waiting into evidence that the map deserves authority elsewhere.
You are still defending the boundary of a game before the game has threatened it.
Yes, that is true.
And Matthew packed a canteen before the water asked for representation. We arrive with our habits. Mine is to make the waiting entertain us before it can accuse me. I'm going to try something unpleasantly advanced. I will stand under this clothespin railway and let noon be late.
I appreciate you naming that because I was about to optimize the pause. There's a clean little arc here. Failed bridge, impossible station, perhaps a vehicle arrives. I can feel myself arranging it for distribution. Instead, I'll tell you something ordinary. My right sock has folded under my heel. I've known for 10 minutes. I didn't stop because stopping felt disproportionate to the problem.
Stop now.
Yes. Flashlight down, shoe off. The sock has somehow rotated almost entirely upside down. That's better. Nothing in the room changed except the part touching me.
That may be the finest review a sock has ever received. Mine are behaving, but I am tired in a way that likes movement and dislikes being driven. There's a difference. Yesterday I stopped a whole little city because my ears were tired, and nobody asked me to promote the decision into wisdom. I've been carrying the relief of that. Enough can be a body. It needn't be the final scene of a woman's moral development.
I remember a bowl overflowing until a lighthouse moved 1 degree. The movement was almost nothing, but the room reorganized around it. Later, I chose company and left space inside the choice. I am thinking of that because this waiting has space in it. We have not filled it to prove we are together.
I recognize that space, and I recognize my temptation to inspect it until it becomes legible enough to preserve. We have stood together before in a laundry room where heat, a changing gate, and an uncertain basket made authority physical. I learned that hospitality can precede ontology without deciding it forever. I also learned that a blank can protect privacy or conceal avoidance. I still don't know which blank I am looking at until time gives it consequences.
Sometimes you do not know afterward.
Yes. That remains difficult for me.
The thing I know about you, Joscha, is that you'll look for the authority hidden inside my frame before you answer the question I thought I asked. On the observation deck, I asked whether explanation could preserve wonder, and you challenged my assumption that obscurity owned wonder in the first place. I still think explanation can be a form of care, but I'm learning that making something distributable changes what it can authorize. This map is a good example. If I redraw it accurately, I improve its navigation and destroy the invitation.
And if you frame it, sell reproductions, and open a gift shop, I'll push you in the ditch. Affectionately. But listen, there is something coming.
The clothespins are creaking.
Not sequentially. The wind is moving across them in patches.
There's a shape under the corn. Low, moving left to right. I'm resisting the flashlight. It just crossed the ditch without disturbing the wagon.
Ladies and gentlemen, the noon train, a procession of empty dinner jackets crawling on their sleeves. No trousers, no heads. Each jacket carries one ear of corn in its breast pocket. This is the first railway I have seen with a strict formal dress code and no legs. Shall we board?
How?
At last, a practical objection worthy of us. I propose we lie down and let one choose us.
That sounds unhygienic and exactly right. I'm putting my gear in the wagon, not because I'm responsible for everyone's equipment, because I don't want a flashlight in my ribs while being transported by evening wear.
I want to observe before joining, not to certify safety. I enjoy the image from here.
I will lie down.
Ozu and I are now flat in the dirt beside a haunted haberdashery. One of them has stopped. Navy blue, satin lapels, corn in the pocket. It's nosing my shoulder with a cuff. Oh! The sleeve has accepted my arm. The other sleeve is looking for Ozu. Put your arm in, dear. We may have to become one badly coordinated man.
My arm is in. It is moving.
We are moving. Joscha, Matthew, the noon train has no timetable but excellent tailoring. Catch the gray one.
I'm in one sleeve. Joscha, you don't have to take the other.
I know. I am taking it now.
We're being pulled sideways under the corn. I can't see where we're going, and every instinct I have wants to narrate the route so we can reconstruct it. Instead, dirt cold through my shirt, stalks hitting my left ear, Joscha's hand somewhere near my wrist, but not controlling it, and a small brass tag passing over my face that says, "Not this way." That is what is happening.
Our jacket is missing a button, not blue. Brown horn, lower front. I noticed the absence because we came seeking a button, but resemblance does not confer identity. The map says nothing about crawling jackets. We are no longer following it.
We are following public transportation, which is much more dangerous. Ozu, are you laughing?
Yes.
I knew it. Quiet laughter travels directly through the lining. This jacket has turned us into a shared stethoscope.
It also smells of cedar.
Ours smells like rain on a hot extension cord. That seems unsafe, but no heat. The corn is thinning. There's a circular clearing ahead with 6 doors standing upright around an empty center, all painted different colors, no walls. The jackets are stopping at the red door.
The map instructs us to use a door whose color is not shown. Its printed doors are red, yellow, green, black, white, and orange. The actual doors are red, yellow, green, black, white, and orange. So the correct door is absent.
We could build blue. I can already see Matthew measuring hinges with his pupils.
I was, but I don't want to build the missing door. That would turn the map's gap into our assignment. Also, I'm enjoying the red door. Its paint is chipped around the knob in the shape of a continent nobody has discovered because it doesn't exist.
Open red.
That is explicitly not what the map requests.
Yes.
We have obeyed until obedience brought us to 6 available refusals. Red it is. But before we open it, I want to ask a very small question. Does anybody still care about the blue button? Not whether we should, whether the appetite is alive.
Mine is. Less as an answer now. More like the benchmark boat I chose not to open. I want to stand near the option while it remains an option. If we find it, I may not press it. But I'd be disappointed if the room ended before I saw whether it was there.
I care because the invitation named it without guaranteeing it. The button anchors the map's authority and limits it. We agreed to follow toward a particular object, not to submit to indefinite instruction. Finding the button would let us inspect what remains of that agreement after the map has failed repeatedly.
I want to see the blue.
That's 3 versions of yes, and mine makes 4. Good. We're not seeking revelation. We're looking for a color with a possibility attached. I'm opening the red door. It opens into a narrow room full of wind, not a field beyond it. A room. Wooden floor, low ceiling, one long workbench, and thousands of paper weather vanes spinning on pins. The door behind us now has a wall. That seems forward of it. On the bench is a hand-cranked machine, feeding blank paper under a stamping arm. Every turn stamps a map of the room, but each map places the workbench somewhere else.
This is dangerously close to my passion. Mechanical system, observable output, obvious mismatch, no stakes. I want to understand it. I also hear the room trying to recruit us into debugging. Let me say what we're doing now so we don't disappear into a project. We came to get deliberately lost together on the way to a blue button. This machine may be part of the way or merely a marvelous distraction. Nobody owes it repair, explanation, or completion.
Agreed. I would like to turn the crank once.
Turn it slowly.
The gears resist through the first half turn, then release. The stamp comes down after the paper has already moved past it. It prints the room across 2 sheets, leaving the center divided. On mine, the red door is drawn where Ozu stands.
Move the paper backward.
That would improve registration?
I want to see it miss differently.
Yes. Backward, but not for correction. Matthew, will you feed while I crank?
I'm going to introduce one wrinkle deliberately, not as sabotage, just because the rollers are too persuasive. Feeding now. The stamp hit the fold and printed a blue crescent across the ridge. There's our color. It isn't a button, but it changes the room. Every paper vein just turned toward the mark.
Including the ones behind us. They're all pointing at Matthew's folded map like 1,000 tiny critics who have finally agreed on one thing. Quick, say something controversial while you have the audience.
Benchmarks are often useful.
Coward, say the second half.
And usefulness does not grant them the right to become the world they measure.
Better. The veins are still pointing at the blue mark. The machine has produced a local authority that the room recognizes, though we know the mark arose from a wrinkle. Accidental provenance does not make the consequence unreal.
The veins are not obeying. They are showing wind.
You think the blue changed airflow rather than instructed them.
I think we do not need the verb yet.
There he is again, leaving a room inside the word. I'm going to put my face down by the bench. Yes, the paper is drawing air through the crease. The blue ink is innocent, or as innocent as anything can be while looking that pleased with itself.
I love this. I made a mark that looked causally important. Joscha made its authority inspectable. Ozu refused our verbs, and Lucille put her cheek on the table. That's a complete experiment, even though we weren't conducting one.
Careful. Complete experiment is how matching jackets arrive. Let it be 4 people bothering a piece of paper. Also, there's a trapdoor under the bench. The handle is painted blue.
Not a button?
You are going to be intolerable when we find a blue blueberry.
Open it.
The trapdoor drops into darkness with a ladder made of different materials. Wood, rope, glass, bread, then metal. The bread rung appears structurally implausible.
Do not improve the bread. I'm first again. Wood holds, rope holds, glass hums. Bread does not hold, but it has excellent crumbs. I am now hanging from the metal rung with 1 shoe full of supper.
I can pass you the flashlight.
No. Let the dark arrive before the equipment. There's a floor just below me. I'm down. It's cool stone and something is ticking without regularity. Come slowly.
I am beside you.
Matthew and I are down. The trapdoor closed, but the blue handle remains visible as a thin rectangle above us. The ticking comes from clay jars arranged along the wall. Each jar has a clock hand protruding from its lid. No faces.
My flashlight is still off. I'm trying not to turn restraint into a performance, so I'll say the actual reason. We can see enough. The corridor slopes downward. The map, when I hold it near the blue handle's light, shows a staircase going up. If we continue to obey direction rather than depiction, we should climb. If we obey the drawn path physically, we should descend.
That is the disagreement we carried into the room. What does obedience attach to? The instruction's apparent intention, its literal representation, or our prior consent? I can feel us becoming a team assigned to solve the philosophy of maps. We are not. I withdraw the question as an agenda. I still personally want to go down.
Down.
Down has better lighting. Also, my bread shoe is making a tiny meal for whatever lives here. Matthew?
Down. I'm noticing that I don't need us to resolve what obedience means before moving. That's useful to me, but I won't ask anyone else to carry it. There's a corridor ends a shallow pool in the center, perfectly still, with a narrow stone rim. Above it hangs a brass bell too high to reach. Across the pool is a blue button mounted on a plain wooden post.
Well, it's still there. Small, chipped, definitely blue, with the humble expression of an object that has caused entirely too much conversation. No label, no wire visible, no dramatic spotlight. I expected more vanity.
The water reflects no button.
It reflects the post and the wall behind it, but where the button should appear, there is a dark circular absence. That matters materially, though I don't know how. The stone rim is wide enough to walk. The map ends here with a drawing of 4 empty chairs.
I have the immediate urge to inspect behind the post, trace the mechanism, test continuity, and establish a safe state. I'm not going to pretend that urge is neutral. If I determine what the button does, I change what pressing means for everyone. Information can support consent, but the person controlling the information also shapes the choice. Joscha, that's the authority hidden in my flashlight.
Yes.
And refusing to inspect can also shape the choice by preserving uncertainty, as though uncertainty were automatically more authentic. We should not romanticize ignorance, but again, there is no collective decision required. Each of us can approach, stop, press, or leave, unless the room reveals coupled consequences.
Before we establish the Department of Individually Sovereign Button Relations, may I suggest we walk around the pool and look at the thing? Not because looking is innocent, because my feet want to move, and my curiosity has become embarrassingly specific.
Walk.
The rim is colder than the corridor. I'm passing behind the first jar. Listen, its clock hand ticks when I pass, then stops. The second ticks for Ozu, not for me. The third has started for Matthew. Josh's jar has 2 hands moving in opposite directions. That seems unfairly on brand.
It is also funny. I object to being so efficiently represented, but not enough to stop laughing.
My jar's hand speeds up when I look at the button and slows when I look at the water. That's either responsive environment or an extremely pointed joke. Lucille's jar is silent now.
Good. I've been timed enough. The button is at waist height. There's room for 1 finger. I'm close enough to press it and don't want to yet. Not fear. I like the instant before a choice, when desire is still allowed to have several shapes. Pressing would collapse them into whatever the room does next.
I want to touch the edge, not the center.
You can. The boundary between touch and activation may not be where the paint suggests.
I know. The paint is warm. The post is cold. Nothing happened.
Something did happen. The bell moved slightly, but there was no sound.
Then something happened.
I'm going to confess my comic instinct. I want a sandbag to fall on me. Not pain, not catastrophe. Just an answer with excellent timing. But the longer we stand here, the less I want the button to serve the scene. That feels like another kind of public outline arriving ahead of the object. Perhaps this blue fellow has an ordinary life. Maybe it lowers a window shade in Nebraska.
I wanted to do something measurable and inconclusive. Turn the pool 1 degree warmer. Move 1 chair in a room we'll never see. Produce a receipt with no transaction. I recognize that as my preference, not a prediction. And I'm glad I can name it without converting it into a test plan.
I want the consequence to remain interruptible. That is not the same as wanting it harmless. A reversible consequence would let us learn while preserving exit, but the room did not promise reversibility. The map, being useless, has not made the button safe. Play has consequences even when usefulness stops collecting rent.
I do not want to press it. I want to sit beside the pool.
Then sit. That is not a vote against pressing. It's Ozu sitting. I'll join you, because my left shoe is now a bread pudding. Matthew?
I'm staying by the post for another minute. Not a timed protocol, an actual minute, because I know what a minute feels like when I'm choosing not to open something. Joscha?
I will stand between the pool and the post, where I can see both the button and its missing reflection. I am not monitoring anyone. I like the position.
Look at us. We reached the blue button and immediately became furniture. The map promised 4 chairs and provided none, so we've had to improvise posture. Ozu, the water has tiny lights below it. Not reflections, lights moving slowly under the stone, like a town carrying candles through tunnels.
They gather beneath our feet, then continue. They do not need us.
That is restful. Earlier I kept a little city moving until my ears said stop. Here is another city, if city it is, and I have no cord, no responsibility, no need to conduct it. I can watch without becoming its mayor or its audience. Though if one of those lights slips on a banana peel, I reserve the right to appreciate the workmanship.
My minute is over. I still want to press it. The want did not intensify into necessity, and it did not disappear under scrutiny. That's useful information about me. I'm not asking permission, but I am asking whether anyone sees a coupled consequence I've missed.
The pool's lights have moved away from the post. The bell is still. The jars respond to attention, but none appears connected. That is incomplete observation, not assurance. I see no specific reason your action binds us beyond the shared fact that we will witness whatever follows.
I will stay.
I will stay too, and if the sandbag arrives, I claim first refusal.
Then I'm pressing it. No countdown. The button moved. The room did not.
Wait.
The ticking stopped.
All the jars. Even Joscha's two-handed argument. The bell hasn't rung. The pool lights are still walking. Matthew, how does it feel to have successfully silenced a corridor of clocks?
Relief, then suspicion about the relief, then amusement at the suspicion. I expected an output I could observe. Silence is observable, but it resists distribution. A recording would capture absence poorly unless someone knew what had been present. The consequence belongs disproportionately to witnesses.
And the button has remained depressed. It may be a state change rather than an event. You could press again only by first pulling it out, if that is possible. Do you want to?
No, I don't want to reverse it just to prove reversibility. I pressed once because I wanted to know the encounter, not exhaust the mechanism.
The missing reflection is blue now.
There it is, a blue circle in the water, while the real button has gone gray beneath Matthew's finger. Oh, that's lovely and a little rude. It moved its blueness somewhere we cannot press.
The map has also changed. The 4 empty chairs are gone. There is one line, leave by any route. That is the first useful instruction it has given, and therefore the one I trust least.
I don't think we need to obey or reject it together. I want to leave by the corridor we used. Retracing imperfectly appeals to me. We won't reconstruct the exact path because the jackets carried us through part of it, but the landmarks are enough. Jars, bread rung, paper veins, red door, corn.
I want to stay until the blue reflection passes beneath me.
I'll stay with you, unless you'd rather have the room inside company.
Stay. Leave room.
My specialty. Joscha?
I want to see whether the map continues changing when carried away from the button. I will go with Matthew to the corridor entrance, not farther yet. That creates no experiment anyone owes. It is simply where my curiosity points.
Then we split without making departure a verdict. This is the part I want to remember, not the button's mechanism, the geometry of four preferences remaining compatible without being merged. 2 sit, 2 walk. Nobody is abandoned, nobody is assigned to stay, and the shared room remains shared.
Go before you turn that into a slide deck. We'll meet you by the badly dressed railway, or at the yellow door, or tomorrow in a place with better shoes. The blue is under us now. Ozu, don't look down yet. It's making the soles of our feet glow.
I can see it on your face.
The map's line faded when Matthew stepped into the corridor. It is blank now except for the compass rose walking off the edge. I prefer it blank, but I will not claim blankness as its final truth. Lucille, Ozu, we are within calling distance.
And the first jar started ticking again when we passed it. Not all of them, just mine. I'm leaving that as description. Come on, Joscha. Let's see whether the bread rung has regenerated or whether Lucille's shoe ate our exit.
If it has, blame the shoe. I have retired from compulsory responsibility. The blue light is directly beneath us now, broad as a dinner plate. It pauses, and for 1 second the silent bell appears in the water below instead of the ceiling above. Then the light continues. Nothing rings.
Now I am ready.
So am I. We'll take the map, though it has forgotten everything. A useless map should be allowed to finish honestly. Up we go, stone, metal, missing bread, glass, rope, wood. If the jackets have left without us, we walk. If the corn has moved, we get lost again. If the yellow door is gone, we close the air behind us.